Hey guys, how's it going? Welcome to a brand new episode of Boss Babes. I'm your host, Brittany Baldi. Thank you so much for joining me today for another special episode. Please continue to follow us on iTunes, Spotify, and all of our social media platforms. Joining me today is a very special guest. He's actually in Germany now. Just flew out there a few days ago. He has to quarantine all freaking weekend. He's going to be starting playing ice hockey there very shortly. But today we have Zach Boychuk, and I could not be more happy to have him here. He's actually a professional Canadian ice hockey player from Alberta, Canada, and Calgary. So Zach, how are you?
And big MTV Challenge fan, so there's that.
I love that. I didn't even know you watched the challenge.
Yeah, I binged it for quite a few years. I haven't watched the last couple, but it was always one of my favorite shows.
I'm hoping that I get on another season. I had no clue you were going to even mention this stuff, but every day I have people saying to me, Britt, when are you going to go back on the challenge? When are you going to go back on the challenge? And I'm like, I don't know, whenever they give me a call. So yes, I would love to compete again someday, hopefully.
How many have you been on? Was it just the one, or?
It was just the one. So my rookie season, it feels like it was so long ago. I think it was like 2015 or 2016. And I dominated pretty well. I won 3 out of 4 elimination rounds. I think that was probably my favorite because it was so competitive.
Yeah, those games seem like they get pretty intense.
They are very, very intense, but probably not as intense as professional ice hockey. So let's talk about the fact that you actually grew up in Calgary in Canada. According to you, it was kind of like a small town and very cold. How cold are we talking, Calgary? I've never been there before.
Well, this week I think it was getting to about -18 or -20. So the rinks have been frozen for quite a while. We've been skating out on the ponds and out in the mountains, like in the backyard rinks and stuff. So it's definitely a great place to play hockey, I guess.
So do you guys have the 4 seasons in Calgary, or is it mainly just cold all of the time?
We have mostly winter and fall, but I guess if you want to say like the summertime and springtime, it gets up to probably like mid-70s. It would rarely get to like 80 or 90s, but we definitely have the 4 seasons, I would say.
So you do have a little bit of a spring, maybe a little bit of a summer, but it sounds like it's mostly cold. Obviously, you are an ice hockey star. It sounds like you guys spend a lot of your time skating on those frozen ponds, playing some pond puck. But I want to hear a little bit about what it was like growing up in Alberta, Canada. And I know that you have sisters. So you are literally the only boy, it sounds like. You have 2 stepsisters, 2 younger sisters, and a twin sister. So what is that like being the only boy in your family?
Yeah, it was pretty crazy growing up. I was kind of on my own a little bit. We lived in a small town, obviously having a twin sister and 2 younger sisters. A lot of female energy going on, but that they definitely made me the man I am today. And I always had a lot of friends that would come over and hang out, so it was kind of a cool dynamic. Then my parents got divorced, I think, when I was about 13 or 14, and he brought so my mom got with a new guy, and he's been great, but he had 2 daughters as well. So at one point, all 6 of us were living together in a small town outside of Calgary. So it was pretty interesting, that's for sure.
Do any of your sisters play any sports? Did any of them ever skate around with you when you were younger, or currently? Did any of them play like goalie or something for you? Like, where did you get these hockey skills from? Somebody obviously got you into the sport, and maybe it was one of them.
Yeah, I always made my sister go goalie, but she did a little bit of figure skating growing up, and then all of them were really high competitive in the gymnastics. So my twin sister was actually like a national champion. She won the World Games for Team Canada, and my other sisters were also on the national team too. So they were really good at gymnastics, and we've always been a pretty athletic family.
And I understand that you loved Christmas as a kid. Why was Christmas your favorite holiday? And were there any dishes that you enjoyed eating around the holidays that happened to be Canadian? Like, I know a lot of people like to eat poutine up there because it's cold and it's like that nice hearty dish. Were there any particular dishes that you like to eat around the holiday season, and let's talk about Christmas a little bit.
Yeah, so Christmas is always my favorite holiday, and just the time of year. Obviously, it's cold and the snow and the outdoor rinks, and we always had a tradition where we'd on Christmas Day, or sorry, Boxing Day on the 26th, we'd always go find a rink, and everybody would get dressed up in their hockey gear, and we'd have a little family game, and then there's a big tournament called the World Juniors Hockey Tournament that everybody watches. So it was definitely like a fun thing growing up. And then luckily I got to play in that tournament. So I was in Sweden and Czech Republic during the Christmas time. My family was able to come, and I was on TV all over Canada. Pretty popular tournament. And then as for the different foods and stuff, it's just a normal Christmas holiday foods. I think we don't change it up too much. I love a little bit of rum and eggnog or coffee and Baileys and stuff, but nothing too crazy.
So I love the fact that you really enjoyed Christmas, and it sounds like you don't have that many different dishes up there. I was kind of expecting you to say something like, yeah, we make this really cool Canadian dish called so and so, or we really like to eat this food from Canada. Are you guys like into eating like duck, or do you guys hunt deer, or is there anything different up in Canada? I guess the reason why I ask is I haven't been to Canada in a very, very long time. My brother actually played ice hockey when he was younger, so we used to travel. I think I've only been to Quebec and Montreal, and I may be going to Winnipeg at some point. So give me some tips on like some of the restaurants up there and some of the foods that you guys ate when you were children, I guess.
Yeah, well, there's definitely a lot of hunting up here with all the wildlife. There's so much land and mountains and trees. So sometimes if you get close to the mountains, you can run into some bears and cougars and stuff. But for the most part, I've definitely tried all that different types of foods like duck and deer and moose and all that type of stuff. But we still keep it pretty traditional American style food. It's not much different than the United States. It's just a little bit colder.
That is amazing. I will have to try out some of those foods if and when I do go back up north. Do you have any favorite holiday gifts that you got when you were younger, whether it be for Christmas or for your birthday? I just kind of want to learn a little bit more about you growing up as a kid, and I'm sure the listeners are interested in as well. Like, did you get like a hockey stick when you were at the age of 5, or a brand new pair of skates? Let's discuss a little bit about some of your favorite gifts when you were a kid.
Yeah, I think I got a lot of hockey sticks, a lot of skates, hockey nets, goalie equipment. Everything was pretty much revolved around hockey. I think one year I got snowboarding lessons, so that was pretty cool. I've haven't snowboarded in a long time. It's actually in our contract. We're not allowed to do it as professional hockey players, but I think once I retire, I'd love to get back into that.
Guys, thank you so much for listening and joining. Today we have Zach Boychuk. We're talking all about the fact that he grew up in Canada. He says that it's very cold there, and he is the only boy. He has tons of sisters. He actually has a twin sister. So let's talk a little bit about the fact that you have a twin sister. What was it like growing up with a twin sister?
Yeah, it was kind of cool. I think growing up with somebody, you're basically right out of the gate. You always have someone by your side. So I think for me, I don't like to be on my own. I always, had someone around. She was great growing up. I think like we had our battles. We fought a little bit, but we were always just so competitive with each other and competitive, which made us better athletes. I think she won many gold medals in gymnastics. I did fairly well with hockey, winning golds and stuff. So it was just competitive all the time. And I think that's probably another reason why I'm a pretty quiet and shy guy. She was a lot more flamboyant. She kind of took the lead. At one point, it's kind of a funny story, but when I was young, my mom kind of thought I was developing a stutter or like I couldn't talk. So we went and saw a speech therapist, and they put us in the same room. They'd be asking me questions, and she would be answering the questions for me. So she wouldn't really let me talk. So I think at one point the therapist said, like, no, he doesn't have a speech impediment or anything. You just need to get her to be quiet, put her in a different room, and let him speak. So I've definitely gotten better at talking over the years, but overall, still a pretty quiet guy.
Oh, that's super cute and sweet. So it almost kind of sounds like she has more of that fun, bubbly personality, and you're more like calm, cool, and collected. And it almost kind of sounds like when you guys were hanging out together that she, not that she was outshining you, but if somebody is near you and they naturally have more of like a crazy outgoing personality, maybe you were kind of just going in your little shell a little bit, which is super cute. And here you are, like flourishing into a nice, sweet young man that you are. And sometimes that's actually even better, especially playing a professional sport. Maybe it made you more humble, both on and off the ice, which I know you have accomplished a lot of things, both on and off the ice. We're going to be chatting about all of that. We are bringing in Deanna Buonomo. She wants to hop in really quickly, chat with Zach, and ask him a couple quick questions before she has to head back to work. As you guys know, Deanna Buonomo is actually a co-host with the Boss Babes, and she does join me sometimes, both live at events and on the Lifestyle Sports Podcast. So here we go, Deanna.
So I just wanted to say hi and see how your trip was and catch up a little bit before I have to go to work. How you been? How was the trip?
It was really good, actually. I flew from Calgary to Amsterdam, had no problems really. I think on the way they asked for like a COVID test, so I had to take one before I went. I needed like a letter from the team that was saying that I could go and work there, and it was pretty easy. I pretty much slept on the whole flight. It was 9 hours to Amsterdam, and then another about hour and a half to Berlin. So good to be here.
I saw that. Was it like one of those lay down planes?
No, but there was nobody on the plane. There was maybe like not even close to half full. So everybody just took the middle seats and were laying down. So I'm glad I didn't upgrade to first class or anything because I had a place to lay out.
Exactly. That's like my favorite thing to do. That actually just happened to me when I went to Charlotte, which is funny because that's where me and Zach actually like met in person for the first time. When he was living there and I was there, and he took me to a really fun bar. We had a great time with all his buddies, and I was glad there was somebody I knew there because Charlotte's always alone, and I was like, I need to go out. Like I want to do something. So Zach saved me there. We had a time. So I'm glad the trip went well. I had a funny question for you. I was on your Instagram the other day and I saw that you posted your draft class. Now, is Steven Stamkos in your draft class?
He was, yeah. We played together, I think, my under 18s and then World Juniors, and he was the first overall pick my draft year. Awesome. Even though he's a year younger technically, but yeah, there's a lot of good players in that draft year.
He's 1991, I think, right? Because
I think he's a 90 because I'm an 89. Yeah, he wears number 91 though, right?
Yeah, so I wasn't sure if that was why. You never know. Well, that's so fun. I know this, but Steven Stamkos is actually my favorite player in the NHL, has been for a few years. So I saw that the other day and I was like, I gotta ask him about this. What's on your agenda in Germany? Is there anything that you want to see there or do there off the ice while you're down there?
Well, it sounds like we're not really allowed to go anywhere. Everything's kind of on lockdown. Just the grocery stores are open. I think gyms are closed. Malls are closed. So it sounds like everybody's just trying to not get COVID. I think at the beginning of the season, there was 12 guys that got it. So they're hoping, I guess, technically in Germany, the doctors believe that if you get it, you probably won't get it within 3 to 6 months. So that those guys actually, whoever get it, don't have to get tested or anything. But everybody else gets tested at least once a week, sometimes a couple more times a week with the rapid testing and stuff. But yeah, I don't know. Normally when I play in Europe, I like to travel around. Last year I went to Paris, I went to London, went to Dubai, and like all over the place. So it's going to be a little bit of a different year for me this year, I think.
Yeah, that's exactly what it sounds like. I know I keep like, it's not that I forget that it's COVID. I just keep like hoping it's gone. Brittany, always a pleasure to see you. Thank you for having me on. Zach, good luck this season. Maybe I'll catch you again whenever you get back. If you want to come visit the States, I'm always here. And I will catch you guys later.
That was really great having Deanna actually jump in with us. As you guys know, Deanna is actually friends with both Zach and I, and Deanna loves to come on and host some episodes with me. And we're going to jump right back into our interview with Zach. So, Zach, we need to talk all about this funny family travel story, talk about the Paralympics. So, I understand that for your 30th birthday, you guys played the Paralympics in Palm Springs with your whole family. So, let's hear this funny story.
Yeah, it's kind of been a tradition of our family. We always have a lot of fun together, especially in the summertime. We go back and I got my 3 sisters, my 2 stepsisters, all their significant others. So we just got like a great group of 22, and I just turned 31. So last year it was my 30th birthday, but it was just a really fun trip. We went down to Palm Springs. We rented 2 Airbnbs that were really close to each other, and basically kind of partied for a week straight. And my mom and stepdad were there as well, and they got in on the party. And yeah, we dressed up for Beer Olympics and played all these different games. My brother-in-law is his name's Cody, so we dress up as the Sweet Life of Zach and Cody. I don't know if you know that show, but it's like a Nickelodeon or Disney show. And everybody always dresses up in funny costumes, and you know, we went out and played golf and just had a great vacation for me and my twin sister's 30th birthday.
I think that is such a cute idea. I love the fact that you guys all got together as a family. It looks like you guys did a fun little family vacation together. I love the fact that you guys dressed up in costumes. It almost sounds like it was kind of themed a little bit. And whose idea was it to do the Paralympics? Was it yours? Was it your sister's? Was it your mom and dad? They were like, hey, let's do the Paralympics. Like, who came up with the Paralympics idea?
Yeah, we just do it every summer, it seems like, and we figured that this summer it would be best to do it while we're somewhere warm, like Palm Springs.
I love that. Great answer. And you guys, again, are learning all about Zach's behind the scenes, what it was like growing up in Canada, family life, a little bit about Christmas and foods and restaurants and all that fun stuff that turned Zach into the man that he is now. Let's jump into some sports. So, growing up as a kid, your 2 idols were Tiger Woods and Wayne Gretzky. And Tiger Woods, a lot of you guys know, he obviously doesn't need a big introduction, but Tiger Woods, widely known as one of the greatest golfers of all time, of course. His new docuseries is actually out on HBO right now, and it's very good. It's a 2-part docuseries. Zach, did you watch it at all? It's pretty freaking awesome, actually. I know you have some quarantine time, so if you're bored and want to watch it, it's very well put together.
Yeah, no, I haven't set up the Netflix yet in my hotel room, so hopefully I can do that soon, but definitely want to watch that. He's definitely been a big idol of mine, and for hockey players growing up in Canada, it seems like 99% of the guys play hockey in the winter and then switch over to golf in the summer. So it was a big sport that I played growing up.
You obviously followed Wayne Gretzky when you were younger as well. A lot of you probably do know that Wayne Gretzky is a retired Canadian ice hockey player and coach. He played 20 seasons in the NHL, and he's nicknamed the Great One. Why were those 2 athletes so prominent in your life? Obviously, you just mentioned that a lot of ice hockey players play the sport of hockey and then switch over to golf in the springtime. So is that kind of why you got your interest or influence in those 2 sports from those 2 athletes?
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think my dad was always a big fan of Wayne Gretzky, especially. He was pretty great player growing up in Alberta. They won, I think, 4 or 5 cups in a row in the mid 80s. I was born in 89, so I kind of caught the tail end of his career. But I think one of my first NHL games that I got to go to live was Wayne Gretzky was playing for the Rangers, and they were playing against the Calgary Flames. So that was pretty cool. And growing up, I was always obsessed with hockey. That's all I ever wanted to do. would read a whole bunch of books all about Wayne Gretzky, his, autobiography, and a bunch of different books like that. I bet you I've read maybe 5 books my whole life, and I think they were all about him. And then for Tiger Woods, it's, growing up playing the Tiger Woods video game, watching him win all those tournaments on TV, and getting to play golf in the summertime.
So it definitely sounds like both Wayne Gretzky, the great one, and Tiger Woods highly influenced you as a young adult and athlete. What did these two athletes teach you as a kid?
Competitive, hardworking leader. I think to have greatness like that and to be a winner, it takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of special capabilities. I always strive to be the best. When I was on the ice, I watched a lot of game tape on him. Watched him go behind the net and make all those passes and plays. And for me, it was I was obsessed with scoring goals and getting assists, and I'd always be looking at the websites on my stats and trying to get to the top of the leaderboard. And I think in most leagues that I played growing up, I was right in the top 2 or 3 guys always. So it was, all the way from juniors. I think I finished second in the whole league. In the AHL, I finished second in the whole league. Bantam was first. Another year, Bantam was second. So I was always obsessed with statistics, and Wayne Gretzky was. I think he's got almost every record in the NHL. So it's definitely a good guy to follow.
That is absolutely incredible. I love how much Wayne Gretzky inspired you to get those goals, get those assists, to be keeping up with your stats and just wanting to be at the top of your game at all times. And speaking of playing sports as a kid, baseball, golf, badminton, which is kind of out of the ordinary, I guess, and hockey, of course. So let's discuss a little bit about baseball, golf, and badminton. And how did playing all those sports help prepare you for your pro hockey career? I'd assume that some of those other sports helped with other skills and shape your motor skills and whatnot. So what was it like playing those other sports when you were younger?
I love to play all different sports. Gym class growing up, it was always getting to try different things. I would have loved to play basketball and football and all those different sports, but you kind of have to pick a couple and go with it. So I chose baseball. I was really good at baseball when I was young. And then you get to a certain age where in hockey, you almost play year round. You play hockey in the summer as well. So it's kind of a 10 to 11 months out of the year you're playing hockey, and you can't really play baseball and other sports as much. So golf you can sprinkle in here and there, but then badminton was just a school sport that I was good at. I think every young athlete should try and play all different sports. It'll make you an overall better player. It's funny, Deanna's favorite hockey player, Steven Stamkos. I think he played pretty much every sport and was incredible at every sport too. So it helps with your hand-eye coordination, your conditioning, and you definitely got to try playing different stuff to be an overall good athlete.
I think that is an excellent answer. And it sounds like you ended up, as you discussed, putting down the baseball bat and the glove and the badminton equipment and kind of just like picking up that hockey stick. It sounds like at the age of 2, you literally, and you jokingly said that you came out of the womb with a hockey stick in hand. So coming out of the womb with the hockey stick in hand, what was it like playing the sport at such a young age? And who got you into it? Was your dad? Was it your mom? Like, why ice hockey? Obviously, you're in Canada. It's cold. Who gave you that hockey stick right out of the womb?
Well, my dad played pretty high-level hockey in Canada. He played juniors and played all the way up into college hockey. He was really passionate about it, and just came out of the womb. They basically put a stick in my hand. I started skating when I was 2 years old. I remember playing with the stick and the ball in the living room all day, every day. My grandma would be sitting on the couch, and she would play goalie, and I would have to score on the little net by the couch. So it was always something that I was obsessed with, and watching it on TV and playing the video games, playing ball hockey in the summertime, roller hockey, and everything. It was just a big part of growing up in Canada and falling in love with the game.
Playing ice hockey was a big part of your life, both in the past and currently the present. And I understand you did not play college hockey, but you did play junior hockey in Canada. And what was that whole experience like playing in the juniors? I have some of your stats, I believe. It said right before your NHL draft year, Boychuk finished his junior career with 33 goals and 72 points. WHL East second All-Star honor. So obviously you dominated in that league playing in the juniors. So what was it like scoring all those points, being so young, not even playing college hockey, and then getting drafted at such a young age, which we will talk about the draft afterwards. But let's discuss playing junior hockey for a little bit.
Yeah, it was pretty cool. I think growing up, you don't really realize how competitive that league is. I grew up in Calgary. There's a team called the Calgary Hitmen that we would always go and watch. The guys just seemed so big and so powerful, and a lot of them were NHL prospects, and you just don't really think you're ever going to make a team or make a league like that. And I was really small when I was young playing hockey. I think always really one of the smallest guys, and there's a lot of doubters along the way that said, "Oh, like you probably shouldn't go to the WHL. You probably shouldn't play juniors. Like you're not ready. You should still play minor hockey." When I was 16, I just felt like I could do it. I felt like I could compete with the big guys, even though I was, I think, 5'5", about 150 pounds. But once I got there, the tryouts went great, and I really succeeded in the training camp, and somehow made the team at 16 years old. And by the time I was 17, I was leading the team and almost leading the whole league in scoring. So it was definitely a fun time to play juniors. And I think when you're young, everybody kind of dreams of playing in the juniors. And there's some guys that go college. It seems to be a little more popular in the US, but in Canada, most guys go the junior route.
I think it's really interesting how you point out the fact that when you were younger, you were kind of on the smaller side. And for those of you guys that don't know, I find it very interesting that not every ice hockey player actually is that big. I mean, if you think about, and obviously I'm from Massachusetts, so I'll talk about some Boston Bruins players, but like Torrey Krug actually isn't that big. He tends to dominate. You look at like Brad Marchand, he tends to dominate, and he's on the smaller side. I think Patrice Bergeron, if I remember correctly, isn't that big, and he absolutely kills it. So I think it's really great that in that particular sport of ice hockey, you don't even have to necessarily be that big in size. Of course, unless you're a defenseman, that's a different story. And you probably want to be a little bit bigger if you're a goalie. But I think as a forward, which you are, I think as long as you have the speed, the hand stick coordination, and like the skating skills, like you can crush it. You got to get those goals. You got to get it in on the net. So let's talk a little bit about your speed, your size. How did you get these goals and these assists and rack up all these points when you're in the juniors?
Yeah, I was always, I think, one of the fastest players in the ice, and I kind of used that to my advantage. Back then, 10, 15 years ago in junior, there actually were a lot of big guys, especially out west in the league that I played in. Most guys weren't smaller than 6 feet. There was a lot of guys, 6'3", 6'5". A different game. Now you see a lot more small players playing in the game. It's all about speed and skill and scoring and stuff like that. But I just tried to be smart on the ice, make plays, and I wasn't going to shy away either. Like, even though I'm a little thicker now, obviously, but even though I'm not, as big as the Dano Chara, I'm still gonna go battle him in the corners and try and hit him, and that was my game, especially in the NHL. I was just lots of energy, running around and trying to compete against those big guys.
I love that you brought up Zdeno Chara. It was actually kind of sad to see him be let go from the Boston Bruins after being with them for so long. A couple weeks ago, I remember seeing his little Instagram story that he put up, and he did so well with us for a number of years. Obviously, was the captain or one of the captains for the Boston Bruins for a while, and just like one of our biggest leaders. And now I believe he's with the Washington Capitals. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm excited to see how he finishes off the last couple years of his hockey career. So best of luck to Zdeno Chara, and I love that you brought him up. Let's discuss a little bit about your pro hockey career. So at the age of 18, you were drafted in the first round. So again, you absolutely crushed it if you were drafted in the first round by the Carolina Hurricanes, 14th overall in the NHL in 2008. You play center, you are a forward, and you began your career by being ranked 8th by the Central Scouting Service. So clearly, you were doing something right when you were younger. You had people following you. You had those scouts scouting you out. And what is that experience like being drafted in the first round at the age of 18 by the Carolina Hurricanes?
Yeah, it was pretty cool. You don't realize how young you are, and you're getting, pulled up on stage. My draft was in Ottawa, so my whole family flew out there, and it's quite the spectacle, especially with the draft being held in Canada, being on TV all over the Canadian market. And we made a little vacation out of it. We went to Niagara Falls and went to the Hockey Hall of Fame in Toronto, and then went to Ottawa. And yeah, just getting your name called on the stage, getting to put the hat on, and meeting your coaches, your general managers, and the commissioner of the league. It was definitely, one of the proudest moments of my career so far.
Were you excited to be selected by the Carolina Hurricanes? Did you have any team in particular that you wanted to play with? Or were you just like, holy crap, this is so cool. Like, I obviously just got drafted. I'm so young, so excited to be playing pro hockey. But I guess I need to ask you, like, was there any team in particular that you really wanted to play with?
Well, I had a few buddies that played in Carolina, so it was definitely on the top of my list to get drafted there. But I think as the selections were going, there was a couple Canadian teams that popped up. I think 10th overall, Vancouver picked, so that would have been cool to go there. And then once Carolina came around, I was definitely excited to go play with a good friend that I grew up with. And a team that actually had some success recently. They won the Stanley Cup in 2006 and was a pretty great organization. So I was drafted in 2008 by Carolina, and it's just a great place to live, great place to play. A lot of awesome guys on the team that were really nice and welcoming. And the good thing about playing down there is you don't have to, be in the spotlight as much when you play in Canada or even probably Boston, New York. A lot of people know who you are. They want to make sure you're, not getting into trouble. Whereas down in Carolina, you could just do whatever you wanted, and it's a great place to grow, to live. And a lot of guys have families that they end up staying there. So it's I liked my time in Carolina a lot.
So it sounds like you fully enjoyed your time in Carolina. I'm actually here right now. My boyfriend, as we spoke about earlier, is actually from Winston-Salem. We are like 45 minutes away from Charlotte. So if you're ever back in Carolina, I know Deanna comes to visit here often as well for work. So all of us can go out and grab lunch or play some top golf if you come back anytime soon. So keep us updated on that. But I wanted to talk to you a little bit about some of your first NHL goals. So your first NHL goal was Saturday, February 13th, 2010. I'm pretty sure you probably don't even remember that date, but I looked it up. I got the facts. Hopefully it's correct. So Saturday, February 13th, 2010 against the New Jersey Devils. Apparently that was your first ever NHL goal. Do you remember that goal? How excited were you for your first ever NHL goal? And did you get to keep the puck? Hopefully you still have the puck.
Yeah, of course. I guess they put it up on a plaque for me, and then there's a picture of me celebrating. It wasn't the prettiest goal, but I think I celebrated like it was like the Stanley Cup overtime winner. So it was a huge goal for me to get it on Martin Brodeur, who is one of the best goalies of all time. It's funny, I was kind of saving it up a little bit. My uncle's favorite team was New Jersey. His favorite goalie was Martin Brodeur, and I think for me to get my first goal against him, it was just like icing on the cake. So, and I remember after the game, I had a Twitter account. I bet you I had my account for maybe a little bit over a year. I had never sent a tweet out, never done anything with social media. And for whatever reason, I just decided to send my first tweet. I said something about, excited to score my first goal. We were going on to go play a different team the next day. So I said, we're getting on the plane or something. And all of a sudden, I think I had 2,000 emails. My phone was like blowing up, like going, because I kept my notifications on, and I had never tweeted before. So I think in that one day, I think I got like 3,000 followers, and then I was wondering, like, what is this Twitter thing? I should probably try this out. So it was kind of a crazy story after scoring my first goal.
That is super amazing. I know you are pretty active on Twitter and your social media currently. We will be shouting out your social media towards the end of the show, but I think that's so amazing that you got so much traction on your social media, and more so, I guess, on Twitter after you scored your first NHL goal. Do you remember any of those like emotions after scoring while you're on the ice? What was your celebration like? You getting your first NHL goal, if you remember it. I mean, it sounds like it was like 10 years ago, but I'm sure it has to be kind of memorable.
Yeah, it was a crazy time. I think I kind of just went black. I didn't, went numb, didn't realize, what was going on. I think it was the first goal of the game, so it was definitely a big goal. I celebrated with one foot in the air, one hand in the air, and I got a great picture of me and the crowd in the background, and one of the New Jersey Devil guys like laying on the ground. So it was a big moment for me. I remember we had a few days off after that game. There was a little bit of a break. So me and the guys went out and partied pretty hard, and getting that first one, you definitely never forget that one.
And I can only imagine, obviously I don't play professional ice hockey, but I can only imagine how cool it would be to literally work my butt off from when I was a kid, getting a hockey stick at the age of 2, learning how to skate, watching people like Wayne Gretzky, and then all of a sudden playing juniors, crushing it, getting drafted at the age of 18, and just scoring my first NHL goal. I can't even imagine that feeling and what those emotions are like. So I'm so happy that you were able to describe that. It was the opening goal of the game. So it sounds like that very first goal, it was the opening goal of the game. Do you remember that by any chance, or no?
Yeah, it was definitely the first goal or the second goal, and I think we ended up winning 4 or 5-0, and just going into the break, it was great to get a win, and obviously just getting the score on Martin Brodeur, who's a Hall of Fame goalie now, and it was definitely a big moment in my career.
You guys are now listening to Zach Boychuk. We are starting to talk about professional ice hockey. He was drafted at the age of 18 in the first round by the Carolina Hurricanes. We are currently talking about his first ever NHL goal against the New Jersey Devils in February of 2010. Now I have some cool stats. On December 29th, actually, 2010, so the same year, it was your first ever multi-goal NHL game with 2 goals against the Ottawa Senators. So I wanted to ask you if you remember that game and what it was like getting your first ever multi-goal game.
Yeah, I do remember that really well. For whatever reason, I always played really good in Ottawa. I think maybe it was because I got drafted in Ottawa at the rink there, and also had some success playing in the World Juniors in Ottawa, where we won gold with Team Canada. So anytime I went there, it just felt like crazy things would happen, and always had a lot of success. I think I scored a goal, maybe in the second period of the game, and then one more in the third. And I think one of the goals ended up being on Sports Center like later that night. I think I got first star of the game, so it was definitely a great memory, that's for sure.
Again, they were about 10 years ago, but I love the fact that you are able to pull these up from your memory. I wanted to ask you, any hat tricks? Did you ever get any hat tricks? I'm assuming that you have, whether it be in the NHL or in juniors. And what is that experience like getting those 3 goals in a game?
Yeah, it's a crazy feeling, getting to score 3 goals and actually see people throw their hats on the ice. It's not many sports have traditions like that, but hockey, it's got that one where it's not an easy feat to score 3 goals in a game. So when you do it, it's pretty cool that the fans reward you with throwing their hats on. But I remember one year when I played in the AHL in Charlotte, I led the league in goals for the season, and I think I had like 4 hat tricks that year. So I definitely wasn't running short of any hats. I've always been a big hat guy.
After the hat trick, you scored the 3 goals. All the fans in the stands throw their hats out on the ice. Do you actually get to keep any of these hats? Like, do you hang any of them up? Like, I've always wondered, like, what the hell do they do with these hats once they're thrown on the ice? Do they get rid of them? Do they donate them? Does the player keep a couple of them for like their man cave? Like, what's the deal with the extra hats? What do you do with them?
Yeah, most guys will like go through a couple of the hats and see if they want to keep them. I remember Eric Stahl scored a hat trick on the free giveaway hat night. So every single fan when you enter the building gets a hat, and he scored a hat trick on that day. So there was 20,000 hat. Every single hat was put on the ice, and I think it took 20 minutes to clean up all the hats. I think he might have kept a couple of those. And yeah, you get to sort through them a little bit. Most of them they give away to charity.
I've actually never asked that question before. And like I said, I watch a ton of ice hockey games. Actually, ice hockey is my favorite sport. And I'm not just saying that because I have you on here. I do love the sport. I actually can skate. I do have my own ice hockey skates, stick, and gloves. I'm not that great at it, but I do enjoy it. Again, growing up watching my brother play and traveling a little bit, I always say to myself, like, what the heck do they do with all these extra hats when they're thrown on the ice? So it's good to know that some get tossed off to charity, and it sounds like some of the players keep some of the hats for their man caves. Do you have any specific memories that stick out in your mind while playing with the Carolina Hurricanes organization? Do you have any funny stories, like travel stories with any of your teammates? Are you still friends with anybody on the team?
My best memories were going out for dinner with the guys, playing cards. We play this game called 7 Up, 7 Down. I think it's like pretty close to like Rummy or Snarps, and I was always really good at the game and always was winning money off the rich guys that were making millions. So that was probably the funnest times, and I keep in contact with probably at least 5 to 7 guys that we grew up playing in the minors together. We were drafted similar years. Kind of went into the NHL together, and those are the guys that I've definitely closest with and stayed in touch with over the years.
What is your most memorable ice rink that you have competed at, whether it be in Boston at the Garden or in New Jersey playing against the Devils? Do you have any rinks in particular that really stick out to you, that you either really love the crowd energy or the fans or what the rink looks like or what the suites look like? What are some of your favorite rinks that you've competed at?
I never liked playing at the Garden. It seemed like they just beat us every time. I remember one game they scored like 3 or 4 shorthanded goals on one power play against us. So never liked playing there. And then having to play against Chara, it's like, you're just getting hammered on in the corner, and it's not a lot of fun. But I liked playing in Montreal, loved playing in New York. And then obviously my hometown in Calgary, that was probably the best memory for me. I think I played my 100th NHL game, and it happened to be at home in Calgary. And I didn't have to, once you hit 100 games, you don't have to wear a helmet in warm-ups. So I took the helmet off for warm-ups, rocked the flow. Was definitely some of my top 3 places to play.
Okay, so that's super interesting. I want to hear about this whole 100 games. After 100 games, you don't have to wear a helmet during warmups. Is there a reason for that, or is that like a kind of like doing a throwback to the old traditional hockey back in like the Bobby Orr days? Like, what is the reason for that? I need to hear about this whole little tradition that they do because I never even heard about this before. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, I think it's just like you basically hit your veteran status. It's like an unwritten rule in the NHL amongst the guys, the veteran players, that you've kind of earned your keep. You've played 100 games, and now you can go on the ice with no helmet on. So it might have changed now. There was one guy that got hurt that didn't have a helmet on a couple of years ago, Taylor Hall. He got a skate into the face and stuff. So there's definitely some teams that have implemented rules where you have to wear a helmet at all times. But for the most part, I think most teams kind of enjoy the fact that, you know, you're a professional, you're an older player, and you get to go out there and pretend like you're, you know, Bobby Orr, or pretend like, you know, you're a cool guy wearing no helmet.
It's pretty cool that you guys were able to sort of warm up without a helmet and do it like the old-fashioned ice hockey players. And it sounds like you absolutely enjoyed your time playing with the Carolina Hurricanes in that organization. You obviously have a lot of great memories. And I do know that you spent some time with both the Pittsburgh Penguins and the Nashville Predators. So I want to lightly touch upon that, see what your experience was like with both of those teams. And I hate to say it because I always get so much heat for this one, especially being from the Boston area. My favorite current NHL player is actually Sidney Crosby. And so I want to ask you, did you ever get the chance to actually play alongside Sidney? Obviously, you probably didn't play alongside him because he's a center and you're also a center, but did you ever get to like practice with him or have any types of interactions with him? And I also understand or believe that he's from Canada as well, a different part of Canada. I think Cole Harbour.
Yeah, he's from way out east, but when I played in Pittsburgh, we got a few shifts together here and there. I don't think we ever were officially on the same line. They brought me in to play with Evgeny Malkin and James Neal, and that was pretty cool. They're both unbelievable players. Just getting to play in Pittsburgh, the team was so good. The city, it's such a sports city. Everybody loved watching the Penguins, and you definitely felt like you were part of an organization that had so much success. They won a couple cups. I think maybe like 3 or 4 cups in the last 10, 20 years. And getting to play with Crosby was crazy. Obviously, he grew up. I think he's only 2 years older than me, but everybody knew about him. I watched him when I was, 12 years old at a midget tournament in Canada, and just getting to play with him and meet him. One of the best players of all time, and he's just a really cool, normal dude. He'd always he was one of the only guys that was single without kids and married and whatever. So there was a group of 3 or 4 of us that would basically go for dinner almost every night. He would shoot the shit and hang out and have a glass of wine, and he'd always pay for the tab, and just a great guy to be a good friend with and to get to play with.
Yeah, he seems like a very humble guy. I actually love watching his documentaries on YouTube. They have like a good amount of them, and if I remember correctly, one of the ones that I watched, it talks about how Mario Lemieux actually took him under his wing and kind of just like taught him the ropes of being in the NHL and what it's like to be playing in Pittsburgh. And also when Sid was a kid, Sid the Kid, I think that's actually his nickname. But when Sidney was a child, he actually used to practice in his basement and shoot hockey pucks at an old dryer. And I remember the dryer being all marked up in this documentary because he would like hit certain targets and make sure he was hitting certain spots. So that is something that I remember. I actually have a Sidney Crosby jersey that I like to wear sometimes for good luck. But anyways, I think that's super cool that you were able to play with Sidney Crosby and sort of develop that friendship with him. And he sounds like a very down-to-earth, humble guy. I love hearing all about your professional ice hockey career. You guys are now listening to Zach Boychuk, Canadian professional ice hockey forward. You guys are listening to him talk all about growing up in Canada, playing professional ice hockey, what it was like growing up with all sisters, having a twin sister to boot, which is super freaking cool. And you currently, right now, literally like this past week, flew out to Germany. You are coming off of your free agency. You are quarantined in Germany as we speak. So thank you so much for, again, joining me today on your free time. But let's talk all about Germany. You just currently signed with a new team. You're going to be starting playing with them hopefully sooner than later. But what are you expected to do out in Germany, and how excited are you to be playing in a new country?
Yeah, I'm just excited to be here. Obviously, it's been a long off season, a lot of uncertainty with COVID and waiting for leagues to start up and waiting for leagues to sign players. So I've been spending a lot of time at home in Canada with my family, which was great, and training every day and skating. But after eight to 9 months of that, I'm definitely looking forward to get back on the ice, and Germany seemed like a great fit. The team in Berlin is a great organization. They have a awesome rink. They're owned by the same owner of the LA Kings, so it's one of the top organizations to play for in Europe. It's just weird getting here, having to go straight into the hotel for 5 days. The team played last night, so I ended up streaming the game on my laptop and got it on the TV. So I watched them get a 2-0 win, and once I join the team, I'm looking forward to contributing and getting the season going.
What are your certain goals and expectations for playing in Germany? Do you have any certain amount of points that you're hoping to achieve this season, or winning the whole season? I don't really know how, obviously, Germany works as far as, like, I don't know what teams you guys play against, or do you guys kind of play for like a Stanley Cup per se? Like, what is that league like that you are currently playing for in Germany? Give us some details, and what are you expecting to achieve while playing in Germany this year?
Yeah, I came here to win. That's the number one goal. I think with this organization, they haven't won in a few years, but before that, they were very dominant, and I think they won like 7 or 8 championships in 10 to 15 years. So we're hoping to get back on track with that. And I'm just, a good team guy, a good guy in the locker room, and I will try and contribute any way I can. Hopefully, I'll be on the power play and scoring goals and setting up players to score. Yeah, I just try and compete my hardest and be a good teammate, a good leader, and hopefully in the end we end up winning. I think 2 years ago I was in Switzerland on the top team there, and we won the championship. And it's just the best feeling ever to go through a full season and go through the hardship of playoffs, 7-game series, and just trying to lift that cup at the end of the year. It was the first time I won a championship in professional after 10 years. So hopefully we can add another one this year.
Well, I'm super excited to hear how the rest of your season goes there. Obviously, you haven't even started yet. You're literally quarantining as we speak. So I think Deanna and I may have to recap with you at the end of the summer and kind of see how your season went. But best of luck. And I'm kind of curious, how the heck is the weather there right now in Germany? Is it cold? Like, what season are they in? I've never actually been to Germany, so I'm curious about the weather. And I know you just got there, but have you tried any of the infamous German beers yet, or any cool foods yet since you've been chilling in quarantine?
Well, it's a lot warmer here than it is in Canada, so I felt like I got out of Canada just at the right time. Coming here, the winters are pretty mild. Love playing in Europe. Love being able to travel. I definitely like my beers, so I can't wait to try some German beers after my dry January that I've been going through. Haven't drank for the whole month, so I'll definitely be excited to get out of this quarantine and try a couple German beers.
I love it. You're going to definitely have to recap with Deanna and I at the end of the season so we can hear all about these great German beers and the food and what the season was like. So best of luck to you. I fully enjoyed talking to you all about your pro career and you, again, quarantining, getting ready to play overseas in Germany. Super exciting. I'm so happy for you and super excited to hear about how everything pans out. Let's switch it over to some of your special talents. I know that you kind of random, but you are good at juggling or you like to juggle. Let's talk a little bit about juggling. How the heck did you get into juggling, Zach?
I don't know. I guess I was like super bored in the Canadian winters, and I made my dad teach me how to do it. And I think first he taught me how to juggle with two balls in one hand, and then you add the third ball and get it going. So it's something that I don't do that much anymore, but when I was younger, I loved to show off and do it.
So it sounds like you enjoyed juggling as a kid and you might not do it as much now, but maybe back in the day it kind of helped with your hand-eye coordination. You never know. You never know.
Yeah, for sure.
And I understand now you own your own online personal training business. So give a little shout out to that. What is the name of your company? What exactly do you do? And how do you benefit other people's lives? And if they're interested in getting personal trained by you, how do they get in touch with you for that?
Yeah, so we have me and my sister created a company together for online fitness training that includes nutrition plans and stuff. It's called ZB Fit, and my website is zachboychuk.com. It's kind of arranged for all different levels, ages, capabilities. We have programs for at home workouts. We have programs that are in the gym workouts, and we like to work with young hockey players. We like to work with guys in their mid-20s that are trying to get faster in their beer leagues. We work with a lot of women, just trying to help everybody get out of the house, move around, get into the gym, pick up a set of dumbbells, work out at home, whatever you can do. So we've created a few really good programs that have helped a lot of people. So it's been a fun project to do, especially during the off season when I'm not playing hockey.
So both you and your sister own your own personal training business, and it sounds like it is online, which is great. So you can potentially still do this while you are overseas playing in Germany. How can people get in touch with you? Or I guess, where do people find out about these personal training classes? Is there a specific website? Do they hit you up online? Do they send you a DM? Say somebody is like, hey, I want to lose some weight. I want to get more in shape for sports. How do people get in touch with Zach Boychuk or your sister?
Yeah, the easiest is probably just messaging me in my DMs. I think on Instagram or Twitter, it's probably the best bet to get a hold of me. I do have a website. It's just my name, zachboychuk.com. There's an email address on there and a lot of information on there. So yeah, you just shoot me a message however you can get a hold of me, and me and my sister will be happy to get you on the right track and get you in a little bit of a routine with good nutrition and some good workouts.
Awesome. So if you guys are looking forward to potentially getting in better shape, having some nutrition pointers, or just learning how to work out properly, whether you're trying to lose weight or get ready for a particular sport or any reason for that matter. I mean, it's a new year. A lot of people like to have those New Year's resolutions, and spring's coming up. So you want to look hot in those swimsuit, ladies and fellas. Hit up Zach, hit up his sister. And I love that you started your own online personal training business. So multi-talented. We have a juggler over here, personal trainer, professional ice hockey player. So let's talk about some charity work and how you give back. So the Boss Babes Lifestyle Sports Podcast is all about how people give back to their communities. So how do you give back, Zach? You must do a little bit of coaching, some mentoring. When you were with the Carolina Hurricanes, I'm sure you did some hospital visits or something. How do you give back to your community?
Yeah, usually our team sets us up with all sorts of different appearances and stuff that we can get back into the community. We do a lot of autograph signings and, like you said, hospital visits. I like to take part in Movember every year. It's in November. You sport a little mustache and try and raise awareness to prostate cancer and stuff like that. Any sort of charity or stuff online, the ALS Ice Bucket Challenge, all that sorts of stuff. It's definitely a great platform when you have a large social media following to contribute any way you can.
I love hearing how on your free time you do love giving back, whether it be directly with your teams or doing it via your social media platforms. Please continue to give back. I love seeing public figures, athletes, people just giving back when they can. A lot of you guys listening know that myself and people involved in the BosBabes Sports Podcast love to set up charities, do virtual events when we can, or cover events when we are able to. We used to do a lot of live charity events prior to COVID, of course, and hoping that changes soon so we can get back into action. But before we wrap up the show, thank you guys again so much for listening to this episode of the BosBabes. It's been jam-packed with so much fun, ice hockey related, and talking so much about Canada, Germany, and everything else in between. Game day eats. Zach, what are your favorite game day eats?
I eat the exact same thing every game day. Pasta with usually two different sauces. I like to mix the Alfredo sauce with the tomato sauce. Pretty large plate of pasta. I'll have some soup and usually a bowl of ice cream. So definitely carb load, a chicken in there. A lot of times we have like the breaded chicken parm. So a lot of calories on game day, and it's kind of been my thing over the last 11, 12 years. And I haven't been injured. I've only missed 3 games in 11 years. So it's, I feel like if it's not broke, don't fix it. So just keep eating pasta and chicken, and that's about it.
Sounds delicious. I kind of like the Alfredo and sauce combination. The ice cream sounds like a good little touch too. It's like your little dessert after. And I think it's super cool that your whole don't fix it if it's not broken analogy, because I mean, if it's giving you good luck and you've been playing ice hockey this long, just freaking keep eating what you've been eating and hopefully it keeps working out. So keep doing it in Germany, and we'll have to recap on that at the end of the season and see if it's giving you good luck overseas as well. And positive pop, Zach, what is your positive pop?
I just really stick to my routine before the game. I love to play a little bit of soccer. It's called two-touch, where you have to keep the ball up with all your teammates. I've always had a lot of fun and a lot of success. I'm a left-handed kicker, so it's or left-footed, so a lot of guys don't see that coming. And then I have a nice, in the beginning it was a warm shower. Now I'm starting to take cold showers, but it's a cold shower right before the game and get ready for the game. I'm always the last guy dressed. It takes me about 3-4 minutes to get dressed. Always stuck to my routine over the years.
Your positive pop is your routine, taking that cold shower, eating your great meal, whether it be post-game or pre-game, and then playing some little soccer or some type of a sport with your teammates prior. Love your positive pop. Love your game day eats. And where can people find you on social media? As we discussed earlier, you are very active on Twitter, very active on Instagram. Where can people follow you? That way they can keep up with your career and anything else you have going on.
Yeah, I'm pretty much on all the social media platforms now. I'm on, not that big on YouTube, but I have a channel there. I have, at Zach Boychuk is my Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat. It's all just my name put together. And yeah, if anybody wants to reach out, send me a message or follow me. And I always like to keep in contact with people through social media.
Well, Zach, thank you so much for joining me today. This episode was absolutely amazing. I fully enjoyed learning all about you, where you grew up, you obviously playing in Germany currently. Loved hearing a little bit of tidbits about Steve Stamkos, a little bit about Sidney Crosby, a little bit about your time playing with the Carolina Hurricanes. Cannot wait to recap with you after your season. Congratulations and best of luck this season.
Yeah, maybe we'll get a live show down in Carolina after the season's done.
Yeah, that would actually be awesome.
Sounds great. Thanks for having me.